Hey, it's Jason from Present Tense Fitness, and today I wanted to talk to you about the nuance around foot positioning when it comes to squatting for dancers. So you'll hear two things among dance populations when it comes to squats and foot positioning. One thing that you'll hear is, well, I was told that I should squat in parallel because I spend so much time in turnout. And the spirit of that makes some sense. So when it comes to strength training for dancers, we're trying to address issues that don't get addressed in the dance training itself. So because dancers spend so much time in turnout, it does make sense to not use an extreme turnout foot position for a dancer. The one problem with that is very few people, dancer or general population, can squat with a perfectly parallel stance. Given the way the big bone in the upper leg, the femur, sits in the acetabulum, which is basically the socket where the ball fits, so the femoral head, that ball fits into the acetabulum of the hip socket. Because everybody's femur, head, and acetabulum depth or positioning is different, we can't say for certain that everybody should squat with the same exact stance. And so while we're not looking to squat in turnout, we're also not looking to force somebody into a perfectly parallel stance when that actually may not be the best thing for their anatomy. So when it comes to squatting, if you're a dancer, you want to find your optimal foot position, which may involve a little bit of turnout. And that optimal foot position is the squat stance that will allow you to squat with the most depth and control. And so ideally with a squat, we're looking to drop the hips below the knees without getting into butt wink or the bottom of the pelvis sort of dumping under, and then we get some of that spinal flexion at the bottom of the squat. So you want to squat as deep as you can, ideally hips below knees if possible. Honestly, I've seen a lot of dancers who can't actually squat to that depth without getting some spinal movement. A lot of reasons for that. But that's the optimal squat stance that will allow you to get deep and get deep in control. So I wanted to address that issue first. So not everybody should be squatting in a perfectly parallel squat stance. So the other thing is sometimes you'll get a dancer who will come in and say, well, when I squat, I like to squat basically through all the ranges of turnout. So they'll do a goblet squat, say, with a dumbbell and basically turn out, and then they'll come in a little bit, and then they'll come in a little bit. And what they've been told is that they should squat with these different foot positions to basically address different muscles of the leg. And I understand the impulse behind a direction like that. But if you think about why do we do strength training for dancers? We're trying to address needs that aren't met in the dance training itself. And we're trying to efficiently give dancers access to power and strength. And that efficiency thing is really important. And so when it comes to efficiency and squatting, we want to go back to the point I just made, which is to find your maximally effective squat stance. And that is going to be the most efficient delivery system for strength and power in squatting. We don't have time, essentially, to do squats through the ranges of foot positioning. If we had infinite time, maybe that's something we would do, probably not still, but because we have limited time and dancers have limited energy, limited time, they have to digest complex choreography, go to class, go to rehearsal, perform. Maybe, for a lot of dancers, you have a side hustle. So we need to efficiently deliver that strength. And so therefore, we want to find, again, going back to the first point, we want to find our optimal foot position, which again will be sometimes like a 30-degree turnout with the feet that we can control. We have good tension all the way throughout the motion. We're not just crashing into the bottom of the squat. So if you've been told you have to squat in perfectly parallel foot positioning, that's not quite right. And if you've been told to squat through the different ranges of motion from parallel to turnout. That's not quite right either. We're looking for your optimal foot stance for your anatomy that will allow you to efficiently gain strength and power.